Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd like to remind media on the phone that you may press *1 at any time in order to ask a question. That's *1 at any time in order to enter the queue. The question and answer portion will take place after remarks. I will now invite Dr. Santaono to speak. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this important and exciting announcement. My name is Santaono, and I'm the President and Vice Chancellor of UBC. It's my pleasure to be your MC today and to help announce and celebrate funding for a very exciting project. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. We're very fortunate to have British Columbia's Minister of Energy, Mines, and Low Carbon Innovation, the Honorable Bruce Ralston, with us today. And to tell us more about the project receiving funding, we're joined by Walter Merida, Associate Dean of Research and Industrial Partnerships at the UBC Faculty of Applied Science and Director of the Merida Labs. Before we get into the announcement, we wanted to share an animation of the project we're focusing on today, the Integrated Energy Test Bed Project, to provide some visual context. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Merida, who will walk us through the video and provide some quick background on the project.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ono, for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to join you and Minister Ralston for this announcement. And as you said, I would like to start by giving you a very quick overview of the project. If you could play the video, please. I would start by saying that from many perspectives, UBC operates as a small municipality, and it has pioneered the use of portions of its campus as living laboratories. For this project, we are transforming a city block into a smart energy district. We are installing about 1 megawatt of solar photovoltaic generation capacity on the roof of the Thunderbird Parkade. And we are aggregating as many electric vehicles as we can into this parking garage. We are then delivering that renewable electricity to a smart and reversible energy management system. And by aggregating the battery capacity of many electric vehicles, we can perform city-scale energy storage and vehicle-to-grid transactions. Some of the electricity will be delivered to a solid-state water electrolyzer, and using our high school chemistry, we will split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen. The renewable hydrogen that will be produced will be stored in high-pressure tanks, which are compatible with the storage requirements of light and heavy-duty vehicles. We will also build a hydrogen refueling station equipped with dual pressure dispensers capable of refueling cars, trucks, and buses. And the entire city block will be monitored and optimized using artificial intelligence, digital twins, and taking full advantage of UBC's wireless and 5G networks. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Ono.
Thank you, Walter, for giving us an overview of this exciting clean energy project. I know that the whole project is starting, and it's an amazing example of the innovation taking place at UBC, using our campus as a living lab to pilot new technologies and solutions to some of society's most pressing problems. To make today's announcement, it's our pleasure to introduce back to UBC, because he's an alumnus, Minister Bruce Ralston. He was first elected MLA for Surrey, Wylye in 2005, and has been re-elected as the representative for this riding in 4 subsequent elections. He's been Minister of Energy, Mines, and Low Carbon Innovation since 2020, after serving for 3 years as the Minister for Jobs, Trade, and Technology. We're very happy to have you joining us virtually. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you very much, President Ono, and good afternoon, everyone. Let me acknowledge that here in Surrey, I'm speaking to you from the territory of the Coast Salish people. It's great to be involved in the launch of what an amazing, exciting project. The Renewable Energy Hub demonstrates the possibilities that lie ahead in our low-carbon future, a future where we use clean energy to power the production of clean hydrogen to fuel zero-emission electric and hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. And we do it all in one centrally located urban city block. It's a tangible example for businesses, cities, and utilities of how we can integrate the production, distribution, and end use of clean fuels at accessible regional hubs. This project also shows the BC Low Carbon Fuel Standard in action. This standard enables the ministry, my ministry, to award credits to fuel suppliers for actions that increase the use of low carbon fuels. For suppliers of clean fuels, like UBC in this instance, the credits can be sold on the credit trading market to generate revenues that can then be used for clean fuel projects. My ministry will award the UBC credits that have a current market value of about 5.6 million to support the renewable energy hub. It's a concrete example of how the low carbon fuel standard is supporting the production and use of renewable fuels in BC, stimulating investment, training, and jobs. And this is just one of the 22 projects receiving credits as part of our 2020 program. If successful, these projects will lead to total fuel supplier investments of over 2.1 billion over the next 5 years. This includes over 125 million invested in hydrogen production and supply projects. As we transition away from our historic reliance on fossil fuels and strive to meet our clean BC goals, the development of hydrogen will be crucial. This project demonstrates the viability of hydrogen production, distribution, and use right here in British Columbia. Hydrogen will play a significant role in our sustainable energy future, generating jobs and environmental and economic benefits. In a few weeks, we will release our BC Hydrogen Strategy, outlining our actions for realizing hydrogen's potential and leading the hydrogen economy. Despite the challenges of this past year, British Columbia's strengths, including our universities, colleges, and highly skilled people, continue to propel us towards a prosperous future in which we will realize our climate goals. As we look with optimism beyond the pandemic, our government's record investments in infrastructure and our continued commitment to training and good jobs will see us build a stronger, more resilient British Columbia that works for everyone. Just to mention a few highlights of Budget 2021, 94 million to advance the transition to zero emission vehicles, an additional 10 million to further BC's biofuels and hydrogen economy, and 35 million for a new Center for Innovation and Clean Energy. All of these investments will help us to seize the promise of our low carbon future even sooner. A key part of our plan for success in a low carbon future is working with partners like the University of British Columbia that are pioneering clean tech innovation. I applaud the forward-looking and collaborative work that has culminated in the construction of the UBC Renewable Energy Hub. On behalf of the Government of British Columbia, I'd also like to acknowledge the support the project has received from the Canada Foundation for Innovation, the BC Knowledge Development Fund, Natural Resources Canada, the Western Economic Diversification Canada, and industry collaborators. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of your announcement today, and best of luck as you launch into construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. And on behalf of all of UBC, let me be the first to say thank you to the Ministry of Energy, Mines, and Low Carbon Innovation for the investment to support this project through the Low Carbon Fuel Standard. Our partnership with the Government of British Columbia is essential to the success of our research and teaching endeavors at UBC, and we are grateful for this ongoing support and collaboration. Of course, accelerating action to combat climate change is a shared priority of the provincial government and UBC. And this project is a great example of innovative thinking in clean energy that has the potential to be scaled once proven on the UBC campus. It's particularly exciting to note that the hydrogen refueling station for both light and heavy duty vehicles that is part of this testbed will be the first in British Columbia and one of the first in Canada. The climate crisis is a pressing issue that requires both innovation and collaboration to tackle. This project exemplifies this, bringing together funding from not only the provincial low carbon fuel standard, but also the Canada Foundation for Innovation and the BC Knowledge Development Fund, or BCKDF, as we call it affectionately, Natural Resources Canada, Western Economic Diversification Canada, and industry partners to bring this joint vision to a reality. And now I'd like to invite Walter Merida, once again, to make some additional remarks about the project. Walter is the Associate Dean of Research and Industrial Partnerships in the Faculty of Applied Science and Director of the Merida Labs and lead investigator on the Renewable Energy Hub project. Over to you, Walter.
Thank you very much, Santa. And once again, on behalf of the university, my faculty, my research team, but most importantly, the students, I would like to thank the government of BC and Minister Ralston for the support from the Low Carbon Fuel Standard Credits Program. In addition to the leadership on hydrogen and clean energy technologies, BC has pioneered the design and deployment of effective policies that reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And the programs and investments that the minister announced are examples of that. Ensuring clean growth while simultaneously minimizing our negative environmental impacts is a common challenge for cities around the world. And universities can play a vital role as global agents of change. As the first university in Canada to develop a sustainable development policy, UBC has incorporated climate solutions or climate action into every part of our operations, from our services to our research to our education and innovation programs. UBC Vancouver has reduced its greenhouse gas emissions by more than 37% compared to 2007 levels, while at the same time growing in both student population and new construction. And these reductions have been achieved in part by developing new technologies into city-scale solutions that use the campus as a living laboratory. And the Living Lab initiative really is a de-risking model. Under this initiative, UBC becomes a development partner, but more importantly, it becomes a risk-tolerant early adopter and first customer for new climate solutions. It can also link its education, research, and innovation capacity to breakthrough solutions for some of the most pressing challenges around the world. And the project announced today, as Dr. Ono has said, is an example of these initiatives, and it illustrates what I call the metamorphosis of cities. The boundaries between transportation systems, civil infrastructure, and digital networks are becoming porous and elastic as these urban assets become smart and interconnected. Currently, cars and parking garages represent two of the most underutilized asset classes anywhere in the world. Cars remain stationary for more than 80% of the time, and parking garages are typically large utilitarian structures that don't necessarily make our cities more beautiful or livable. But this is changing. With electrification, connected vehicles, and autonomous driving, cars, buildings, intersections, bridges, and roads are becoming transformed. They are being transformed from passive assets into active participants in city-scale energy management and service delivery strategies. And this is just the beginning. As Minister Ralston indicated, the adoption of hydrogen technologies will change the global energy system. Hydrogen and electricity provide a clear path to sustainable low-carbon economies for Canada and the world. And BC is uniquely positioned to capture some of the significant clean growth opportunities in a low-carbon economy. In closing, I would like to say that above all, this project illustrates the power of partnerships at all levels, from the federal and provincial funding partners that the minister mentioned to industrial consortia and the many groups that make the project possible on the ground. Campus and community planning, energy and water services, the operations teams, these are the people who make this happen, and they have worked collaboratively and enthusiastically with the research teams. Many more people made this project possible, but I would like to give special thanks to two individuals, Dr. Omar Herrera and Melissa McKinnon, for their dedication and hard work. This project could not have happened without your help. Once again, Minister, thank you very much for your support. You can rest assured that it will make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Walter. It's always a pleasure to hear about your research that you're undertaking. Whenever I listen to you talk, I wish I was a student in your class. So thanks for your enthusiasm, your passion, your ability to bring to life the very complex things that you're doing here at UBC. This project is just one example, but truly embodies UBC's commitment to using our large campus as a living laboratory. And I'm excited to see the Renewable Energy Hub up and running in the months to come, and to hear about the outcomes and learnings that come from this from this project that hopefully we can share with the entire province of British Columbia, the rest of Canada, and the world. Thank you very much, Minister Ralston, for making this possible today. I'd like to once again thank Minister Ralston and the Government of British Columbia for this important investment. This funding will support important research, development, and innovation that will help advance UBC's ongoing efforts to accelerate climate action. This concludes the formal portion of our event this morning, and I'd like to now turn it over to our moderators for a media Q&A. Thank you all for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you to all our speakers. A reminder to all reporters on the phone, please press *1 to enter a queue. That's *1 to ask a question. You will be limited to one question and one follow-up. Please also remember to take your phone off mute. You will not be audible until your name is called. Our first question today is from Richard Zussman. Please go ahead.
Congratulations on the announcement. This is for Santa Ono because I have you here. I'm just wondering, as we start preparing for a return to campus life in September, a number of universities in the United States, including the University of Washington, will be requiring students to be vaccinated. Do you think that's something that UBC or other universities in British Columbia should consider preparing for a return to campus life?
Well, thank you for that question. I can tell you that we are actively speaking with our public health officer, Dr. Bonnie Henry, and certainly with the sector table, which the province is putting together. So it's premature for me to comment on that, but certainly there's a considerable amount of conversation and thought that's being put into how we restart in September. As you know, Dr. Bonnie Henry has indicated that we have confidence in monitoring and modeling the number of cases that we should be able to return to a large degree to face-to-face instruction, but we're monitoring it very carefully, and we're very fortunate that at UBC we have individuals who are directly involved in that modeling. But to answer your specific question, those things are still under discussion, but thanks for the question.
Richard, did you have a follow-up?
And broadly, I do. Broadly, I'm just wondering what students should expect in September in terms of ensuring that there are safety measures in place as we sort of enter this next phase of our pandemic.
Well, thanks for that question. You may have been following that UBC, in collaboration with the province, as well as with the federal government, has been a pilot site for rapid antigen testing. We have a tremendous record here at UBC in terms of our ability to manage, to test, and to trace, and to quarantine any students that might be testing positive. So I think we have quite a bit of experience there. But as I said, this is a collaboration with the public health officer and with the province of British Columbia. We're still working those out. There's a primer that has been released, but we are working collaboratively with other institutions in the sector, as well as with the Ministry of Health and the Public Health Office to build that out even more in the weeks ahead. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much. And that's all the questions we have for today. Before we leave, I would just like to ask our speakers to briefly pose for a photo. This should just take a moment. If I could get you all to smile at the cameras. Wonderful. Thank you so much. This concludes today's event. Thank you, everyone.